Now, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guards has been meeting with Iraq's defense minister and has reportedly offered support to the Iraqi armed forces. According to Iranian state-backed media, IRGC members are ready to train Iraqi forces. Separately, hundreds of protesters were out on the streets of Baghdad on Monday to denounce a draft electoral law. To talk about all of that, we're joined by Entifadh Qanbar. He's the president of the Future Foundation in Washington. He joins us now. Great to see you again, Entifadh. So, I mean, as we talk about a lot, Iran does already have a great deal of influence in Iraq, doesn't it? What is the significance of this report that the IRGC is now offering to train directly the Iraqi armed forces?
I mean, my sources inside the Ministry of Defense in Iraq, unfortunately, the current minister is just a puppet controlled completely by the militias, proxy of Iran. This visit basically to solidify the control of Iran on Iraq through the IRGC using the excuse of training the Iraqis. I think the Iraqis are fighters. We fought Iran when we almost won the war against Iran 8 years, which I served 5 years of. And basically, this is another way or a plan to extend IRGC control in Iraq, not to mention the PMF, the Popular Mobilization Forces, Al-Hashd al-Sha'bi, which is basically paid by the Iraqi government $2 billion a year and directly linked to the IRGC. And now the parliament is about to draft and legislate a law to have a military academy for the militias proxies to Iran, and also to have their own identity place for their own cars. So basically, they are creating another IRGC in Iraq. This time, the I stands for Iraq.
Well, Iraq has just signed a security agreement with Saudi Arabia, the first in 40 years or so. I mean, this is unlikely to go down well in Riyadh.
No, it's not. It's not only that. Right after this security agreement, Abu Ali al-Askari, which is an anonymous spokesperson for the militias proxy to Iran, put out a tweet which made it very clear we're not part of the government, and we are also going to attack and transfer the battle to Saudi Arabia, and we are against this security agreement. So you have those militias, one foot inside the government using the government resources, another foot outside the government with names of anonymous people, anonymous organizations, which they have the plausible deniability, but they also use it to pressure Iraq and sway Iraq from its neighbors, Arab neighbors specifically, and also use Iraq as a way to penetrate Gulf countries and create mayhem and unrest in these countries.
And how is this linked then, Entifadh, to the ongoing political instability? Why is there such opposition to this draft bill? Why did it bring people out onto the streets yesterday?
Well, because the claim is basically this is going to deprive independence from winning in the elections. But I tell you one thing, democracy is very, very vulnerable. Winston Churchill said democracy is the worst form of government, considering all others. Democracy need stability, need security, and need justice, and need order and law. And now without order and law, I don't think there is any meaning even for independents to win the elections, because we have several tens of or dozens of independents won in the last elections. They all got sucked into the big proxies of Iran parties, and they also have been threatened and intimidated. Absence of law and order, absence of accountable election and laws, you cannot have a democracy. Democracy is not only counting votes in favor of the more powerful with more weapons. Democracy is to give all people equal opportunity to vote, and that will not happen in Iraq under the old law or under the new proposed law. So it would not be possible. So
you don't think an election then would be the best way forward for Iraq right now?
The elections in Iraq is basically a show for the parties to go on a revolving door and go back to power. The same parties supported by Iran, using intimidations, weapons to change the votes, to oppress their opponents. They are using corruption money, tens of millions of dollars, to go ahead of the normal citizen who wants to be a candidate. So there is no such a thing as elections. We saw even in Israel how difficult the elections and how to come with an outcome that is satisfiable to all people. This is a country of complete law and order. How about in Iraq with militias controlling every intersection in Baghdad?
Entifadh, thank you very much indeed. Entifadh Qanbar there.